The most important movie of our lifetime, the Emoji Movie, is hitting theaters this weekend. What do we think? Smiley face, frowny face, eggplant? You'll find out right here on Screen Junkies News. Hello, I'm Dan Merle.
And I am Roth Cornett, and this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have entered the era of tech-exploitation movies.
Yes, I love that you said error, because that's kind of what this movie felt like a little. The era of tech-exploitation.
Not the era.
That's right, Roth. The Emoji Movie, the movie that I think everyone did a collective eye roll emoji at when they first heard about, is finally hitting theaters. We saw it. I no, in a weird way, this movie's not terrible.
Right.
It's not god awful. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle. Would you say it's Dan? Meh? It's fitting that this stars T.J. Miller as the meh emoji, because that's really how I felt coming out of this thing. This could have gone terribly, or there was a little bit of me in my brain that was like, maybe this is going to go like the Lego Movie, where it seems like a very cynical thing to start with, and then they go somewhere really cool with it, and it turns out to be really fun and different. That was not for me. This movie.
I think you're right. Like I sort of had hopes that it would exceed expectations and suddenly be. I mean, T.J. Miller's certainly been promoting this film. Or that it would be the other thing where it's such a train wreck that it's almost a beautiful disaster experience. But it was incredibly middle of the road. I could see. I don't think it was entirely cynical. It's interesting. I feel like there were a couple of moments that I felt that these really were adult minds desperately trying to understand the world of digital technology that we all find ourselves in.
Yeah.
And then in other moments, it was an exploitative thing, like let's go to Spotify land and let's
play Candy Crush it felt like people that knew things about cell phones 5 years ago writing a movie about teens today,
which is probably what happened.
Which is probably exactly what happened. But no, I'm with you. Like the frustrating thing for me, the most frustrating thing was like they did kind of brush against some things. It was like, oh, that's interesting. Like this idea of like, if you're an emoji, you can only be one thing.
Yeah.
And if you break out of that, that's certainly not groundbreaking, but there were some themes there. It's like, oh, you could kind of go in that way or just have fun with the world of like making fun of it. And it was just so, every time they had a chance to do something different or weird or kind of carve their own niche, they were just like, can we just do Wreck-It Ralph? Let's just do Wreck-It. Because this movie for me was like, it was almost shamelessly just a second-rate version of Wreck-It Ralph.
I agree that it was the lower tier Wreck-It Ralph plus for me Divergent, and the Divergent, and then that's basically how it landed on how well it worked was in between those two things, because for the Divergent element for me was the Matt emoji who just didn't fit into the mold and wasn't just one thing. He was multiple things, which is like, it's interesting to me because I just thought about our narratives that we're giving our kids, and it's this idea that like, oh, if you don't fit into just one box, you're unusual, you're a chosen one in that way. But no one fits into just one box, so it's a strange message.
Yeah, it's like
you
can only be one thing, but then it's like there are only a few characters that are just one thing. Everyone else shows a wide range of emotions, so it's like, okay, well.
And then even like just as human beings, none of us really fit into a box. We're all multiple things, and so it's sending this message to children that if you don't fit into a mold, then you're very unusual.
And I agree. Conformity is bad.
Right.
But I don't know if the Emoji Movie needs to be the one telling that to kids.
But then it also elevates this idea of a chosen one. This is like way deeper than I thought we were going to talk about.
It's way
with
deeper
the Emoji Movie.
than the writers intended for this movie to be thinking. Because this is just.
But it made me think like, what are like Russian cartoons teaching their kids? Like, what are no, I'm just curious. Like, what are the messages that we're sending the children? Really, like either you're special or you're really boring. Right?
I don't know. I found this movie really boring. There was probably that level there, perhaps, to explore into. I just kind of, it was the generic kids movie plot of I'm home and now I have to leave home because I'm different, and am I going to come back home and change everything? And just, I don't know. There were so many things they built up, like even the Patrick Stewart thing, which I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Poop
and they're
emoji.
like, Patrick Stewart's playing poop in this movie, and I'm like, well, I hate that it's saying Patrick Stewart is poop, but maybe they'll do something fun with it. No, he's not even a character. He's like an extra. He has like 8 lines. They're all poop puns, and it's just like that for me. it kind of encapsulates this whole movie is you had a chance to do something there with that character that was different and fun and could play around with Patrick Stewart's persona, or is he the mentor, or is it going to be, is the poop emoji like the smartest? It's like you could really do some fun things, and instead it's like, no, he's literally just there to make some poop jokes and stand in the background. And that for me is the summary of this movie. It's just, maybe there was some potential there to break out, and instead they just kind of said, like, kids like emojis, let's just iron the standard kids movie plot onto this movie, and it just stars emojis, and that's about it. So I didn't find anything in this movie any different than any other middle of the road generic kids movie that I've seen. It just is just, this one stars emojis just like The Secret Life of Pets starred pets.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're sort of the kids movie. I think, Toy Story probably did it best, where you're trying to chase the secret world of what's happening in that world. And now we're doing it with technology. It was done very well in Wreck-It Ralph. I will say Maya Rudolph plays an excellent, very creepy villain in this movie.
And the one that exploits the idea of the emoji having one personality trait that's alternate to their actions in the movie.
Yeah.
I agree. That was the best performance in the movie and the best character, because it was somebody trying to be smiley, but they're the villain, and that's interesting. They just didn't do that with anybody else.
Yeah, agreed. She is the best part of the movie for me. That character, very, very creepy. But overall, run-of-the-mill, meh emoji movie. Yeah. I can't recommend that you go see it. I would say probably just rent Wreck-It Ralph this weekend and take a look at Toy Story.
If you want to see this movie done well, I would say Wreck-It Ralph. If you have kids, it's not really an offensive movie for kids. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. Your kids will probably like it. It ends. I know that there were kids in the screen. It was a family screening, and there was a song at the end of the movie, and all the kids were dancing. So I would say if you have small children, you can take them. It's not. There's nothing bad in there for them to see, but just be prepared for just the same kind of generic, bland kids movie that you've seen 50 times before.
Yeah, it won't be a torturous experience for the adults in the room, but it won't be a necessarily enjoyable one either. And with the expensive movies, we always talk about that. I would say just go ahead and stay home. Rent Wreck-It Ralph, rent Toy Story. Watch those if you have them already.
Yeah, I agree. There's lots of different movies that have done this story way better. Unless you have really small kids that just have to go to the theater, I'm not going to recommend this movie either.
All right, Dan.
All right, Ross. Well, this was a meh review of a meh movie, and we move on. The summer's almost coming to a close. And we still have some big movies coming up.
You know what we're going to talk about very soon?
What's that?
Detroit.
Yes.
Detroit. We are not in the office tomorrow, so we're not going to be able to do it tomorrow. But Monday, look out for that. Detroit.
And there's some movies that we missed. We're casting our net. I think I'd like to do what we talked about, our small movie roundup. I want to talk about Girls Trip, which we missed while we were away at Comic-Con last week. There are a few others that have opened that I don't think we've had a chance to talk about. So maybe we'll take this time, catch up, and come back next week with a roundup of some movies that we missed.
Let's do it.
Sounds
you guys
like
let
fun.
us know what you would like us to talk about in the comments or on Twitter. I'm at Rothcornet.
I am at Merle Dan.
And you can also tweet it at SJ News.
Yes, and thank you for watching.